Ogres are like onions.
They stink?
Layers! Onions have layers. Ogres have layers. Onions have layers. You get it.
Be strong.
Before we can talk about the individual macromolecules, we need to talk about how to build them, and this applies to all four macromolecules that we'll learn about. Every macromolecule begins with carbon. It's kind of like the base layer, and the carbon can form chains and it can form rings. If we keep putting carbon together, we form these things called monomers, and monomers are like the smallest unit. It's one block of carbons. One that we talk about a lot is called glucose. It's actually 6 carbons put together, and if you look right here, its formula is C6H12O6. Every corner on that shape, that's a carbon. So if I count them up, how many corners do I have? Well, I have 6. Well, I can take these individual units and I can keep adding them together. If I take 2 glucoses or 2 monomers together, I form something called a dimer. Di means 2. 3 or more, I form a polymer. Poly, 3 or more, like polygon in math. So if I keep adding these polymers together, this is how I actually build a macromolecule. But how do we physically put them together? What's the process? Well, actually, it's easier to destroy one first.
I think it's gratuitous, but whatever.
So let's look at this example. If I have my McDonald's sweet tea on my desk and for some reason I accidentally knock it over and I spill it, what's going to happen? Well, all that sweet tea is going to spill out, it's going to dry, and my desk is going to be sticky the next day. It's sticky because what's left over? It's sugar. So how do I clean this up? Well, I need to break that sugar up somehow. And by doing that, we know we're going to go to the sink, we're going to get a wet paper towel, and I'm going to add water to it because water is going to slip in between that sugar, it's going to dissolve it, it's going to break it up. Well, this is the exact process of how we destroy a macromolecule or a polymer. It's a process called hydrolysis. Hydro means water, lysis means to break up. So we're going to break this up using water. If I have a polymer, it's bonded together. I want to break these bonds, and the best thing I can use to break these bonds is water. So I'm going to add water to it, and it's going to break it up into individual monomers again. Well, to build one, it's just the opposite process. So let's build it. Instead of starting with a polymer, now I have 3 monomers that are separated, and what's separating them is water. So how do I get rid of the water? Well, I just add heat, I evaporate it, and now I have performed a process called dehydration synthesis. Dehydration means to remove water to take it out. Synthesis means to build. So I have essentially built a polymer by taking water out of it. This is the process of how all macromolecules are being put together within our cells. And it all started with carbon. Why is carbon so special again? Carbon's able to form 4 bonds, and since it can form 4 bonds, we call it organic. Organic, just like the section in the grocery store, basically means it is good for life. When we go look on alien planets for life, we're looking for carbon and water because this is what we need to build our macromolecules.
You know, not everybody likes onions. Cake! Everybody loves cakes.